I was never one for fate, or destiny. I laid claim to the belief that one must fight for their place in the world. Such a cruel world indeed. How could I be fated for something that I, myself, did not fight to obtain? Nothing in life is easy. Life is war. My father served with honor and dignity as a knight in the king's army. I still remember that night. His reassuring smile, his determined gaze, none of which saved him from the cold end of the blade. Was it his fate to be slain so senselessly? Was it his fate to leave his wife and child behind to face a harsh world alone? I made a vow, placed before his grave, that I would take up arms and follow his stride. That I would take up the very sword he used to protect Hyrule. How could fate have led me to this? How could it have led me to this when I could have been anything other than a butcher, a blacksmith, a carpenter, a gravekeeper? This was my choice, and my choice alone. I fought for everything I've ever had. My place in the guard, my kingdom, and my life. None of it was granted to me with ease. Everything worth having comes with a test. Fate and destiny were merely foolish embellishments of a poor children's story. At least, that was what I wanted to believe. But then I met her. Princess Zelda. At first I thought she was merely a spoiled brat, a product of luxury and ignorance. She would follow at her father's heels during his inspections of the guard. She held her head high with what seemed to be an air of superiority and condescension. The flawlessly smooth and clean fabric of her apparel conveyed a life free of pain and misery. If fate truly was at play, she was the shining example. As time went on, my skills and valor of battle grew, as did my reputation amongst the guard. Eventually, word of my deeds even reached the ears of the king himself. I was appointed Princess Zelda's personal protector. How could it have come to this? How could I truly protect my kingdom while serving as a mere lackey? Needless to say, she was less than fond of the arrangement as well. However, as the days turned to months, I began to see Princess Zelda for what she really was. Her constant devotion to her studies, her relentless pursuit to understand the divine beasts as well as the guardians, her strict adherence to her daily prayers. That air of superiority and condescension melted away to reveal a noble strength and a true, profound compassion for the state of her kingdom. How I had misjudged her. I had thought she had been handed the reins of an already saddled horse. But really, she had done all of that on her own. It was then I learned the truth. There existed a prophecy that foretold the return of a great evil. To combat this evil, 4 champions would be required, as well as the sealing powers of the princess and a warrior who could wield the sword that seals the darkness. To be honest, I didn't place much stock into such a fairy tale. My life is what I make of it. I refuse to believe that the destination has already been determined before the journey can even be made on this blind road of life. I accompanied Princess Zelda and the champions into the Lost Wood to find the sacred relic, the sword that would seal the darkness. When I was able to pull the blade from the stone, that was when everything changed. How could it be me? Was I truly the one meant to destroy this great evil set before our kingdom? What would happen should I fail? How many innocent lives would be lost to its wrath? I didn't want to believe in fate. I didn't want to believe that such a responsibility was placed upon my shoulders. But then I realized. My whole life, I had been trying to outrun fate. But in reality, I was racing straight into its grasp. My struggles and hardships did not set me apart from fate and destiny, but rather, it aligned me to its purpose. This was where I was meant to be. This was what I was meant to do. I carried the burden in silence. I had no words for such a thing. All I could do was to ensure that Princess Zelda played her hand of destiny, and I played mine.